Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Troilus and Cressida, and we get to hear from old man Nestor today in Act 4, Scene 5. Now remember, he's anywhere between 90 and 900 years old, so I take no responsibility for what he actually says here. He does have a tendency to ramble. I apologize for that. But anyway, Act 4, Scene 5 is the scene where we had the fight. We finally got to the fight. But before we got to the fight, there was the awkwardness of the timing of people arriving for the fights. You know, the Trojans were late in getting there, but then Cressida was also brought in and introduced to the Greeks, who all wanted to kiss her, and then she's taken off to go see her father, Calchas. And the fight actually begins. And while Ajax and Hector are fighting, Ulysses notices Troilus like looking all sad sack over there, that kind of thing. And Hector and Ajax fight for a little while, and it's maybe a little bit anticlimactic. I mean, you could still stage it so that it looks like an awesome fight. I mean, yes, get your fight choreographer involved here. But after a little while, the trumpet sounds, which is sort of like the bell ringing in a boxing match to end the round. And they're like, okay, do we keep fighting or not? And Ajax is like, yeah. And Hector's like, no, because you're my cousin and I'm not allowed to kill you, though I would if I could, but I can't, so I won't. So they decide that instead of continuing this fight, most of the Trojans are going to go home, but Hector is going to go have dinner with all of the Greeks. So he's taken into the Greek camp, and he meets Agamemnon, and then he meets Menelaus, and he's like, oh, you're Menelaus, right? You know, I know your ex-wife, and she didn't tell me to say hi to you, but I think that she's still doing well. And Menelaus is like, don't bring her up, don't say her name. And Nestor inserts himself in here to sort of break the tension, break the silence, and says, I have, thou gallant Trojan, seen thee oft, laboring for destiny, make cruel way through ranks of Greekish youth. And I have seen thee, as hot as Perseus, spur thy Phrygian steed, and seen thee scorning forfeits and subduements, when thou hast hung thy advanced sword in the air, not letting it decline on the declined. That I have said unto my standers by, lo, Jupiter is yonder, dealing life. And I have seen thee pause, and take thy breath, when that a ring of Greeks have hemmed thee in, like an Olympian wrestling. This have I seen, but this, thy countenance, still locked in steel, I never saw till now. I knew thy grandsire, and once fought with him. He was a soldier good, but by great Mars, the captain of us all, never like thee. Let an old man embrace thee, and worthy warrior, welcome to our tents. So this is a very long-winded way of Nestor saying, I am very aware of your reputation as a soldier and very much impressed by it. I've heard wonderful things about you being almost godlike on the battlefield, but I've never actually seen you. I knew your grandpa, and he was cool, but you're better than him. So, you know, let's put all the fighting aside for now, and I'll embrace you because I knew your grandpa, and let's all go have dinner. And and I believe it's Aeneas is like, that's Nestor, the old guy. And he then meets Ulysses, and Ulysses is like, oh, when you first came to Greek, I warned you of things to come, but the second half of my prophecy hasn't come true yet. You know, Troy is still going to fall, and Hector's like, no, it's not. And then he meets a few other of the Greek people, and then Achilles comes in, and while everybody else is being nice and cordial, and they might get in a little like, haha, I would kick your butt on the battlefield, none of it is mean-spirited. This is more welcoming and more celebratory, and they keep focusing on, welcome Hector, welcome to our tents, welcome to our tents. But then Achilles comes in and he's like, I'm gonna kill you. And Hector's like, no, like, you're gonna spoil the vibe with that. And Achilles is like, yeah, we're going to go. We're going to fight on the field. And he starts getting so contentious that it makes everybody else really uncomfortable. And finally, Agamemnon breaks the tension and is like, okay, just each to your separate corners. We're going to go have dinner and we'll figure out who's going to fight who on what battlefield at some later time. But in the meantime, Hector, come and eat with us. So everybody then leaves except for Troilus and Ulysses. And Troilus, remember, Ulysses is Greek, Troilus is Trojan. Troilus is like, can you tell me where Calchas is? And Ulysses is like, yeah, he's in, his tent. That's the one that he's in. And Troilus is like, if I came and found you later, do you think I'd be able to impose upon you to show me where that tent is? And Ulysses is like, yeah, and that Cressida's in there too, and she's gorgeous. Like, didn't she have a boyfriend or a lover or anything like that back in Troy? And Troilus is like, she did. And then they go off to join the feast, and that's the end of Act 4. So we had a fight that wasn't really a fight, but now we still have this love story thing that we need to figure out. We've got another sort of side fight that needs to be figured out between Achilles and Hector, which I guess means that the inflation of Ajax's ego and the deflation of Achilles' ego maybe kind of worked, that Achilles actually came out and tried to throw down in this situation. But yes, we gotta figure that out. We gotta figure out if we're even gonna get to the end of the war in this play or just the end of these battles. And we need to figure out what's gonna happen with Troilus and Cressida. I mean, it sounds like he's keeping his word that he was going to try to sneak into Cressida's tent in the Greek camp. So we'll see if he's successful. And in the meantime, come on back tomorrow for more. I'll see you then. Mwah.